On this episode of Brio TV, the podcast, it's my pleasure to welcome back an old friend who really knows the meaning of the term allegiance. Cue the guitars. My guest today helped get the whole podcasting thing started for me back in 2019. 2019, can you believe it? And he was my second ever guest right after Air Farce founder Don Ferguson. Today's guest met me down in Etobicoke at the Humble and Fred radio studio. This was pre-COVID, where we had a wonderful conversation that covered many highlights from this gentleman's career. His breakthrough film role as a nerdy alien in Galaxy Quest, his TV hits Just Shoot Me, Veronica Mars, and Flashpoint, his roles opposite stars such as Jude Law and Tom Hanks in AI and A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, among other features. His latest project has him mentoring a rookie cop played by Supinder Wraich in the new CBC police drama Allegiance. Not bad for a kid from Henry Carr High School in Etobicoke. For my money, he's the Spencer Tracy of his generation. You never catch him acting. One of the truly good guys, Enrico Colantoni.
Am I not going to see your face?
Oh, we sure are. Hold on. This is Meek. There you are.
Wow, the beard got bigger.
Well, you know, I was walking through Cloverdale Mall in Etobicoke.
Tell me this is a Santa Claus story.
It is.
Okay.
So in November, I'm walking through there, and this guy stops me, and he goes, "You know, everybody ever tell you look like Santa Claus?"
Yeah, what is that?
And I said, "Yeah, that or Letterman." And he goes, "No, you look like Santa Claus." Anyway, he's a recruiter for Santa Clauses. He was setting up the Santa in the mall, and he tells me it's $35 an hour, cash. You get more for corporate gigs. I'm going, go on.
Go on.
Yeah. So maybe next year. We're moving here. I didn't have time to do that. As you can see by the empty bookshelves, I'm getting out of Dodge, so I didn't have time to be Santa this year.
Are you moving from that little office space that I saw you some years ago? Is that where you're moving out of?
That when you and I talked, and again, my God, you were the second episode I've done of these podcasts. That was like nearly 5 years ago, Rico, if you can believe it. That was down in Humble and Fred's Howard. That was his place. So we recorded live there. So no, I'm in Brampton, and we're moving to Orangeville. So that's the plan. Anyway, wow. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Everything is good. Yeah, it's good.
That's fantastic.
You look great.
You look happy.
Yeah.
That's great. Glad to hear it.
Somehow it sneaks up on me sometimes.
Last I talked to you, you're telling me you were playing ball hockey and screwed up one of your knees, right? Do you remember this?
Oh, geez. Yeah. You know what? I screwed up my hip. I ended up having a hip replacement.
That's what I was going to ask. So you got the hip. So how did that go?
I did, because that was right before I went back to do the new installment of Veronica Mars.
That's right.
I don't know if I told you this part, Bill, but so I'm limping, and Rob Thomas is saying, "Oh, by the way, we want Keith to have a cane." I go, "That's perfect, because I can't walk in a straight line." So for the whole 8 episodes or 6 episodes, whatever it was, I needed a hip replacement, and I manifested the exact same thing in my life. The minute we stopped filming, they cut me open, and it was just like I needed a real hip replacement. So
wow.
I'm such a method actor, brother, that, the cane. And Kristen Bell just kept saying, "Stop using it as a cane. Stop using it as a cane." I go, "But it's a cane. What am I going to use it with?" A little air gun. But it's like, my brain said, you need a hip replacement. And in fact, I did.
And it works out all right. Well, from what I understand, it's easier to recover than a knee, right? A hip.
That's what they say. Or a shoulder.
Yeah. I've had a buddy had his both shoulders done twice. Oh. And then he goes and plays golf again, and it's screwed up. Yeah. Listen, congrats on Allegiance.
All your body parts still?
Yeah, I pretty much. Yeah, I think so. I've got Almost a full set of teeth. Yeah.
Great. Because Orangeville is going to kick your ass. You know that.
Yeah. Well, you're probably right. It's north of the tree line. It's a little more winter, but I'm in the banana belt here now in Brampton, of course.
But I don't know that reference.
Well, Brampton, honestly, it is a little more moderate because it's when you're south of Caledon and north of the lake,
right,
Ontario. Yeah. It doesn't get quite the brunt that you do when you get north of Caledon. But I've got a shovel. I'm ready,
right,
and a snowblower.
Good.
So, Allegiance. I just talked to Mark Ellis. He was giving me the lowdown on it. It's a wonderful relationship, you and the actress who plays Wraich, yes. And she is this rookie, bright, the tops in her class. She's the valedictorian for the class that's graduating. And she comes to the squad, and you are a seasoned professional cop who's going to mentor her and bring her along.
Yes.
And
right to me, that sounds you're interviewing the right person, Bill.
Okay, good. Thank God.
It's Wednesday, and this is Enrico Colantoni.
So, you've been in this position before in stories where you're mentoring somebody or sort of a father figure.
Yeah.
How is this guy different from characters you've played on Veronica Mars or other shows?
Yeah. Well, this guy is at the end of his career. He's ready to retire. He's about 3 months out of retirement, and he's old and he's tired. He's jaded. He just wants to get out. And then Supinder's character, Sabrina Sohel, comes in as this wide-eyed, idealistic rookie who wants to change the world, but she's really good at it. And she comes from her heart, and she's really skilled at connecting with people and in such a way that reconnects him to the love of policing. And so it becomes one of those things where the student becomes the teacher is the teacher, the student is the student. But then at the end, they really just become, I think, the hybrid version is the perfect police officer, someone who is aware and savvy that the system may or may not be broken. At the same time, we still care. Put our hearts out there, and we still show up at your door really wanting to give 100%,
Well, when we see your police officer, Elliot, oh no, I'm sorry. Your character's name on the show. Elliot is from a show from 30 years ago. I'm sorry, Rico. I'm moving. As you can see by the empty bookcases, I don't even know
if we didn't know each other, I'd be offended, but no, Vince. His name is Vince Brambilla.
Yeah.
I think he's of Italian descent, thank God.
There you go.
And that made life easier. And
he seems to be more like a family man. Like we see him talking to presumably his wife briefly there and saying, looking forward.
Family man. I can only compare it to the last police officer I played. And so this guy is happily married with children. He's very present in he's a family man, and he has a wonderful sense of humor. He really sort of teases the Sabrina character quite a bit. Mm-hmm. So he has a lot of fun. And I think that lends itself to the chemistry that Supinder and I, we actually didn't discover it. We discovered it in the audition. It wasn't even, we hit the ground running, just knowing each other briefly beforehand and reconnecting in the audition. And then just having a wonderful time in the banter and the play-by-play. And we really brought that. And what she brought was just a care for the whole crew, and just, I keep using the word effervescent because she really is. She's just bubbly and alive and happy and grateful. And so and she's the number one on the call sheet. So, you always expect that number one person on the call sheet to set the tone. And she set the most magnificent tone, and I just played along, and we just had the best time, to the point where there were too many moments where we weren't sure if we were still in the scene or not. People are just waiting for us to stop. They must have cut like 10 minutes ago. We keep going. So it was a lot of fun.
That's all you can ask for. I know I've talked to people, they've done chemistry reads now virtually. Like they literally, one's in Toronto and one's in LA, and they're meeting and reading. And it must be, I don't know if you've ever been in that situation, but how does that work, virtually?
I have no idea. I mean, but people are still auditioning on tape without a chemistry read. They just like you, and they just, I guess, you know what? I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but I really think it comes with a confidence in what you're doing. Like a guy like Soderbergh will just cast his friends. You know what I mean? People he's worked with, and he doesn't need a chemistry read because he knows he's going to bring the best out of these guys. And so I usually tell when they need to keep auditioning people over and over and over again, they're just not that confident. But when people just get hired like that, and they just know, you feel you're going to work with somebody who is seasoned and not. Look, I don't know what I'm saying, but they're young producers. These aren't Larkism. They've been around forever. So
right, and there must be some comfort for you to be working again with Mark and Stephanie on this show that you work with on Flashpoint.
I love it. It. When they approached me with the script and reading it, I go, oh yeah, no, I remember how they write. It's beautiful. It's warm. It's filled with so much heart. And Anar, who created the show, of course she built it. It's her baby. But when I could see that Vince, when I read Vince, I go, they know me. Whoever wrote this knows me. And I automatically attribute it to, or gave Mark and Stephanie the credit, but Anar was really there in the beginning, although having never met her. Now I'm just rambling, Bill. Just what am I? Who am I? Who are you? What is this? What are we doing? What are we talking about?
It's all awesome. Are you
interview? What is this?
I'm just so glad to be talking to you. It's great to catch up.
To talk to you, man.
Yeah. A lot of other good actors on the show, and fun parts. This guy, my God, who plays the lawyer,
Ryan Markinson.
Oh my goodness.
He's fantastic.
Yeah, and he's got a couple of scenes where he's walking and talking, and it's just hilarious, right?
Yeah, he's fantastic. He's always been fantastic.
Yeah,
and I mean, people like David Cubitt. And
have you worked with David before?
I have. We did a movie called The Colossal Failure of the Modern Relationship, and I actually had to say that in a sentence once in the film. I don't know how I got away with it, but the film was going along nicely. All of a sudden, I had to throw that fucking line out, and it was.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
Cubitt. It's almost, you find him in the quiet moments in anything, right? He's just got a stillness to him.
You know what? In my humble opinion, he had the most thankless character, because he'd come in every episode, deliver the information, and he nailed it every time. He was just so magnificent at just setting up, okay, here's what's going on, guys. And it's like, guys who can do that with skill and with ease are just like, I just sit back and I watch him do that. And it was just such a pleasure to watch him do that every time.
No, it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
And working in Surrey, BC can't be too bad, right?
I'd never been. I stayed in a beautiful part of town called White Rock. Mark had recommended it, and so when it was time to pick a place to live, it was the most beautiful place I'd ever lived in. It was just like on the water, and the community was fantastic, and it was really close. It was really close to Surrey, so I was in awe at what people drive to work in every day. It's water and mountains and trees.
Yeah.
And we had probably, according to the locals, probably the best beginning of winter, end of fall. It didn't start raining until early December, and we were almost done at that point.
Yeah.
So we had beautiful, beautiful sunny days for the most part throughout it, and it was just the most breathtaking part of the country. It was just, oh man, it was gorgeous. Yeah.
Better than Brampton is what you're saying, I think.
Better than most of York County.
All right. But they don't have McKay pizza, so I don't know.
No. And you know what else? And you know what else? Although in honor of York Region, you know what, I can't say. I don't know I know what the fall was like. There were too many evergreens, so there wasn't much of a change in color, which was disappointing. That's when I longed for York County, when the leaves sort of change.
Last year was spectacular in terms of fall in Canada, in Ontario. It was pretty good this year, but the year before, my God, it was so colorful. I would drive 20 minutes north and just take pictures for like a month. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Back with Rico Colantoni in just a moment. Well, did you know that it was June Carter Cash who wrote one of Johnny Cash's biggest hits, Ring of Fire? That's just one of the things you'll learn watching June, streaming this month on Paramount+. June shines a spotlight on the history of country music and the Carter and Cash families. The 5-time Grammy Award-winning singer, actor, and author has opened for Elvis, appeared on screen with Robert Duvall and Jane Seymour, and as mentioned, was a damn fine songwriter. Featuring interviews with the woman herself, the film also includes sit-downs with her family, admirers, and friends, including Dolly Parton, Reese Witherspoon, and Willie Nelson. And remember, there's a mountain of premium entertainment for audiences of all ages on Paramount+. Well, time once again to check in with our friend Emily Gagne at Hollywood Suite. Emily, Happy New Year. What do you got for us now?
Well, Bill, we're blasting off into 2024 with genre fare. We're talking sci-fi, we're talking horror, we're talking the freakiest and the most fun movies you can think of. Everything from Beetlejuice to Blade, we've got on our channels this month.
Wow, Blade scares me. What's the freakiest sci-fi film you've got, though?
Sci-fi, I mean, we've got 2001: A Space Odyssey. I don't know if that's the freakiest, but it's a classic. We've got Close Encounters of the Third Kind. But I really think if you want something weird and wonderful, we have this film called 976 Evil, which is directed by Freddy Krueger himself, Robert Englund.
Well, that's the number, 976 Evil. You can find it on Hollywood Suite. Emily, thanks for the tip.
Thanks, Bill.
Here he is again, Allegiance star Rico Colantoni. Rico, do you have a Norman Jewison story? We've lost this great...
Oh, my God. I didn't know that. When did that happen?
Did you not know that Norman Jewison had passed away?
No.
Oh, I'm so sorry to be the one that
happened. No,
I didn't mean to spring it so...
No, I've never met the man.
So clumsily. Yeah, just yesterday it was announced. Yeah.
But I don't have any stories.
All right. I just wondered, I mean, he was a guy who was very passionate about storytelling, about Canadian filmmaking, and also stories that, had to do with culture and race. And it just seems that we see some of that on Allegiance, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, no, I don't even think so. That's exactly what we're about. And yeah. I mean, the people that created the writing staff, they were. Oh, I've never worked on a more diverse show, and I really. There were episodes where I was completely uncomfortable. I was the white guy. Taking it in the chin, in a lot of ways.
Right.
but what a beautiful journey for me to go on. Because I learned so much. The history in Canada, the Indigenous people, the just racism in general that goes on when you're dealing with a community of darker colored skin and who have been here for generations, rooted in Canadiana, are very much loyal to the flag and to the Queen, and still getting judged based on the color of their skin. So the whole oh my God, Bill.
But that's the thing is, Rico, is like, well, that's sort of what I forget.
I'm gobsmacked. You know what I mean? I'm still gobsmacked about what I got to do in the narrative of the whole thing.
Yeah, because you and I grew up in Etobicoke, and it was a very white world.
Diverse. It was pretty diverse.
It was diverse. We went to Catholic schools, so you had, but it wasn't like the school experience my kids had here in Brampton.
Yeah, for sure.
But your point with allegiances and the storylines there, I know there are generational immigrants who've been here hundreds of years who are part of the mix, and that's sometimes not really forgotten or not explored, and that's something that is explored in Allegiance, right?
A great deal.
Yeah.
My absolute favorite episode that still gives me the shivers is episode 7, when we're dealing with forget the term, but there was a law where you could actually take an Indigenous baby away from their mother without their permission.
Right.
It's a law that they could do in Canada.
Yeah. No, there was a movie made. I'm trying to think of it now. I talked to CBC, had a series last fall that dealt with that very issue, and it was there was a movie about this Indigenous young girl who was raised in a Jewish family and had a completely different culture transformation that she had to unravel when she became of age. Right. Bones of Crows. Yeah, it was.
Thanks, Winston. Yeah.
Did
Madison direct that? Was that a documentary? Because Madison did something like it.
Well, that was a scripted series, a drama series for sure. But it was a movie first, and then they did 4 episodes, and it was very well done. But
we did it in 1 episode, and it just rocked my world, man. Just the information and the passion of the script itself is just. I don't know. I mean, they were all wonderful, but this one just still shakes me.
Wow. I have to look forward to that. There's 10 episodes, right?
Yeah. Fun is, of course I haven't seen them. I have no idea what they look like.
Well,
I did my job, but I'll tell you, Bill, I just like in it and playing in it. This was a special one.
Yeah.
This one was special.
Yeah. Well, it looks it from the pilot. I really enjoyed. And it's a physical show as well, right?
Tell me about it, man. Holy fuck. Dude, the last time I chased a guy was on Flashpoint. That was 12 years ago. I could barely manage then. And the one day it rained, I had to chase somebody. We were chasing somebody.
Right.
In the rain. I go, I've never worked in the rain before. I've never, ever worked.
Really?
Toronto, we don't work in the rain.
That's true.
We wait for the rain to pass. But everybody over there, well, it could stop in like 28 days, so we got to keep going. Are you kidding me? And it's coming down.
Right.
You got to run after this guy. I bust my knee. I go to the knee, and then once you get the knee going, then it's your back, and then one of the same episodes, I had to play basketball at night and like make it all look good. By the way, I got 3 threes on camera. I couldn't hit the rim in practice, but once the cameras were rolling and we were actually doing it, it was like whomp, whomp, whomp.
That's
That was
it.
awesome.
The camera goes on and you perform. That's pretty
right.
cool.
That's right. I show up.
That's not bad. Well, we'll look for that. But yeah, you seem to use all of those things. If you hurt your knee or you hurt,
Oh, God.
it's part of the show.
Oh my God. Well, it couldn't have been because I had to keep up with the young upstart that is Sabrina.
Yeah. Well, you do have great chemistry in it right off the bat.
Oh,
yeah. I had to take you back to the start of your acting career here, looking through your IMDb, and one of your very first credits, Friday the 13th.
Gee, why do you have to bring that up now?
Whatever happened to Roby?
I don't know.
I was working at TV Guide. I remember going to interview her, and man, oh man, she's from another planet. That was a long time ago.
She might have gone home.
maybe she did. You did a night heat at the start too, right?
Those were my first two gigs right out of the American Academy. Yeah.
Wow.
To Toronto. Actually, that wasn't technically my first gig, but those were the first two when I came back to Toronto, and those were a lot of fun. It was Alan King who directed the.
Really?
Yeah, Alan King directed the episode of Friday the 13th, and I'll never forget. I'll never forget on the first day or the first couple of days. I was just so in awe of how they fed you.
Yeah.
Oh, there's so much food. And I just come from New York. I was barely past the bouillon cubes and the Wonder Bread, and here's all this food, and it was an episode where I was heavy in. So I'd work early in the morning. I was already tired. I loaded my plate up 2 or 3 times. By that time, I was just ready for a nap, and I actually had the naivete to go to Mr. King and say, "I'm kind of tired. Can I take a?"
What? No. You asked the director if you could have a little nap?
I told him if I could have a little nap, and he looked at me like I was. He goes, "Kids, just keep going. I go, but then I learned my lesson. I can't eat that much ever again."
Right.
But it's like that's what I did. I ate it all.
So you thought you were a reporter like that? If I would go to the set, I would just chow down for an hour because it was all this great hot food, but I didn't have to act or do anything afterwards.
Oh man! But this was aside from all the food that they have, on the go. This was lunch.
Right. Oh no. Craft services.
King. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, in Europe they take a nap.
Well,
I didn't understand why we had to. It was only 45 minutes to eat and go back to work. It's just like I could use a nap right now.
Well, you were doing night heat. You were probably working overnight.
Oh, dude, that was the worst.
You would shoot that show at 3 a.m, right?
That was the worst. That was the worst. I'd never done a night shoot before. I could bear, and that was who was Don Shabib.
Wow, really? He directed the episode? Wow.
He directed a lot of those episodes, but he was my first director. And I remember I needed to come in. It was like 3:00 in the morning. I had to come in, kick a door down, and come in firing. Well, I remembered an old Spencer Tracy story where, every Spencer Tracy movie you see, he's always checking his mark. You see him looking down, and he hits his mark, and he looks up, and he says his line. And I go, fuck, man, I don't know if I can hit the door and hit that mark. So I would come in, barely look at the mark, step on it, and start firing. Shabib stops and says, "Hey, killers don't check their mark." I couldn't go to him and say, "I'm tired.
Yeah,
it's 3:00 in the morning. I want to go to bed." Oh, the things I learned on those, and they all happened within like a 2-week period, right? The food episode to being up at 3:00 in the morning and trying to get your lines out and sitting in a car and I'm falling asleep. It's just like it was not good.
Did you meet the French Connection cop who produced that show?
Sonny Grosso.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he was always in the room when you were auditioning for stuff. Yeah, he was always a sweet man.
Yeah, I was overnight there once, and Bill Viggers was the publicist, I remember, and it was an unforgettable experience. I remember Yeah, yeah. Don Franks came walking down the street, and yeah, he was so into method that I thought it was just some guy who woke up from under the bridge for the overpass. No, he was in wardrobe. It was something. Wow. All right. Well, what else can you tell us about Allegiance? Just in terms of guest stars, are there some other people that show up?
You know what they did? They did such a wonderful job casting locals, right?
Yeah.
The story takes place in Surrey.
Yeah.
We feature Surrey, and we found some exceptional actors that actually just still live in Surrey. There's young actors coming up, and it was just wonderful. I thought they cast it so beautifully. We had a rock star regular cast, a recurring cast. It was just such a. I don't know, Bill. I'm still digesting the whole thing, and I'm telling Supinder because she, I go, you're not going to experience anything like this on your next show. This was really special.
Huh.
This was really, really special. And, I think one of the things that attributed to to that feeling was there was a strike going on south of the border.
Right. Yeah. So you had probably more actors to draw from, right?
There were, but the crew. But not only did we get a pick of a certain litter, we all came in with a collective gratitude for having a place to go.
Mm.
We all we all felt that. We all knew how lucky and grateful we were to be working at a time when, my brethren in the South were struggling. So
yeah. Because you often would cross the border and do a show, and
the thing that saved me was that I now live in Canada. So even though I'm a SAG member, it didn't stop me from working in Canada and not cross a picket line. So I just want to be clear about that.
Yeah. Well, good to know. We'll be right back after this short break. The second season of the compelling crime thriller Hidden Assets returns to Super Channel for its exclusive Canadian premiere on Sunday, February 11th at 9 p.m., with each episode also available on Super Channel On Demand. This Irish-Belgian-Canadian co-production is a must-watch for aficionados of crime thrillers. In Season 2 of this Super Channel original, Criminal Asset Bureau's new team lead Claire Wallace finds herself at odds with CTU's Christian de Jong over the Antwerp investigation. And speaking of hidden assets, Quebecer and Brio TV favorite Karine Vaness is among the Canadians on Season 2 of this drama. And remember, Super Channel, an all-Canadian service, is available via most cable providers across the country, as well as streaming live and on demand with Amazon Prime Video channels, Apple TV Plus, and the Roku platform in Canada. Once again, here's Rico. You've seen a lot of changes in television. It's always in revolution, I think. But the last 20 years, it's relentless. A lot of talk about changes at CBC and Broadcast Act. Is it getting easier to make TV or harder? Or do you see, is this a golden time or a scary time?
Isn't that funny? You'd think it would be easier with all the content that's out there and everybody's streaming something. You can't swing a dead cat and not hit like a new show. And yet it's incredibly difficult because I think because who's your audience now? It used to be, growing up, 40 million people were all watching the same show on CBC or CBS, and
Yeah.
we were getting it on CTV or something.
Right. No, they just had the Emmy Awards. I think there was 3.5 million people watched in the United States. The Emmys, it was a great show too. I mean, it was.
No, I'm sure. I mean, I think we're losing interest in the star system. The Academy Awards, the Emmys, it's like,
Yeah.
30 years ago, everybody would tune in because we didn't see them all dressed up. Now we can just go on our things and see what they're having for breakfast.
Right.
So the mystique of seeing them accept an award is sort of like, meh.
Yeah. No, I think so. And you're even, the Oscar nominations came out the other day, and the radio stations were calling, well, Barbie got snubbed and this and that. And that's all that. It generates a little bit of a buzz, but it's not really about the movies, so much anymore.
No, it's not. It's
because people haven't seen them.
And they're busting their ass on wanting to build viewership, but I think we're just in a different time where it's just going to be another choice.
Right. Yeah, I guess so. How about yourself? What are you watching these days? It's you streaming?
I'll tell you, I'm a big fan of a show called Slow Horses.
Oh my God. That is an amazing series. And there's a Canadian running that one, Graham Yost, right?
Canadian?
Graham. Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, he's Elway Yost. I don't know if you remembered Elway Yost growing up on TV Ontario, Saturday at the Movies. It's his son, Graham.
Oh, right. Well, he's a screenwriter from way back, too, right?
Yes. Yeah, he did Face Off and all that stuff.
Yeah. Did you see that documentary on Ellios?
Yes, I'm in it.
You were in it. That's right.
Yeah, but I did see it anyway.
Lovely. That was a lovely doc.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Slow horses. Gary Oldman I melt every time he's on screen. I just melt.
Amazing. Yeah, it'd be a fun show to be on, huh?
Oh my God, I don't know if I could pull it off with the awe. Just be in awe of that man, and all of them are just so wonderful. Just so wonderful.
You might be in awe of you.
You know what, Bill? Thank you for saying it. Even in the universe, if it's said once, maybe.
I mean it, man. I think it'd be great to see you guys do something together. But I agree with you on Slow Horses. Do you find that you stream a lot? Is that what you watch more than broadcast?
I have to be picky because there's so much, and there's the Leafs I got to watch whenever I get the chance.
Wow.
Because I'm a glutton for punishment.
We are.
You know what I mean? It's like I got to watch them. That's a good 2.5 hours of my life.
It is. My son took me to...
I'll never get back.
No. Yeah. It's 56 years we'll never get back. My dad, when I was 9 when they last won a Stanley Cup, and I remember watching it with my dad who had seen them win 11. And I remember him saying, "Oh, get used to this."
I remember that story.
You're going to see a lot of this.
I was trying to remember who said that story. It was
my son took me to a Marley game a couple of weeks ago down at the CNE there, and that was a fun experience. I have to say, it's pretty good hockey.
I'll bet.
Yeah,
I'll bet. I went to see the Leafs game recently, and I go, you know what? I left after the first period. I go, I'm going to go watch the rest of it on TV.
Wow.
You're so preoccupied with who's sitting around you, and just like the seats are kind of narrow, and it's like you gotta get there and you gotta get home.
Yeah. Well, that's why I like the Marley game.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe we're getting old, but yeah, like I'm thinking it's so easy to park.
Yeah.
It's so easy to walk in here. It's so easy to get to
the Rico Center right now, and it's something else. But I remember it was like intimate and it's small. It's just like you could get every seat was a great seat.
Yeah.
What's it called now? It's not the Rico Center anymore, is it?
No, it's the Coca-Cola or the Pepsi-Cola Palace. It's named after a soft drink, but I think it's the Enrico Center.
Yeah, it should have been. It should have been the Enrico Center.
Hey,
Henry Carr is going to be celebrating 50 years
Yeah, that's what I saw. It's incredible. You were, I mean, the school had been there for a little while, but not that long, really. I guess when you were a student.
I was there. I think I was in the fourth year.
My God. Okay.
Yeah, I got there in '78, so I think it was. So 4 years earlier, they were coming out of their portables, and they had just built the main office.
Amazing.
The main building.
Father Ted McLean, we talked about before, was
he just came up today, as a matter of fact. Before
really,
yeah.
He was a great hockey player, right?
The Flying Fathers, I think, was.
Yes, he was. He was a flying.
He was drafted by the Leafs, but decided to go into the priesthood.
That's right. That's what a lot of the Leafs should do now. Maybe they could build a Navina and finally get a Stanley Cup.
That's probably the cruelest thing ever to come to your mouth.
Well, okay. So, the other question I always ask, not what you're watching now, but what was the show that grabbed you when you were a youngster? Was there a show that you would race home from school to see, or a favorite kids show that you have memories of?
Yeah, well, when I was a kid coming home from school, we'd have Gilligan's Island and The Monkees and
reruns,
reruns right after school, and then prime time would show The Partridge Family and stuff. And recently, I went back on Amazon and rewatched a couple of those Partridge Family episodes, and I go, "Oh my God!"
Right? Yeah.
Hello. Hey.
There's nothing to it. They do a song at the end, and then it's just 15 minutes of them around mom's dinner table, and they're all picking on the sister.
How is this a hit? I don't know. How is this a hit?
I collect TV shows on 16 millimeter film. So I have a 16 millimeter print of The Partridge Family, and the guest star is Meathead. It's Rob Reiner, who's a biker. He's a biker dude who tries to take out.
That's funny. I remember that.
Yeah, it's hilarious. But
Harry Morgan was in one of them. Harry Morgan, who went on to
Dash.
That episode was a classic. Is it like?
Yeah, it's crazy.
So good.
Yeah, and then finally, do you have a favorite all-time TV theme song?
I don't think I do. But when I was working with Alan Thicke, I caught up on all of his theme songs. That was fun.
Oh,
like, well, the world don't move to the beat of just one drum,
Right.
That was always fun.
Was Thicke working on Just Shoot Me, or?
Yeah, no, he was on Hope and Gloria.
Oh, of course. Yeah. That's right.
We did 35 episodes with Alan.
Yeah.
And of course, he brought me back to hockey. He goes, "Come here, my boy." Did I ever tell you that story?
I don't think so. Did he get you on the ice?
Different and aloof. It's just that he didn't want to be bothered with me. It was my first steady gig, and here he was, and I knew who he was. It's like, I grew up with him. And the minute somebody told him that I was Canadian, he just lit up like a Christmas tree. And it was just like, "Rico, my boy." Put his arms around me. He goes, "We're going to play hockey." I go, "Alan, I haven't played hockey in years." He goes, "Doesn't matter." Next thing you know, he's suiting me up. I got skates, and I'm out there just on my ankles after not having skated.
And this is in L.A.?
In L.A., yeah.
So who would you be skating with back then? I mean, was Michael J. Fox on the ice, or?
It was it was a pickup game every Tuesday and Thursday. So most people were welcome, but they had to be invited. Alan was certainly part of it. There were a couple of ex-NHLers that showed up. I didn't know who they were. A lot of college kids. But there were, Mike Myers would came out once in a while. And,
wow.
Yeah.
Jerry Bruckheimer had a league for a while.
He had his own game. He didn't associate with the hoi polloi. He had an elite league.
I think I talked. Kiefer Sutherland used to play with Bruckheimer's gang.
Yeah.
And then they took their act to Vegas, and that went off the rails quickly. That was just too much of a party town, and
sure. Well, Alan was associated with the celebrity hockey team, right?
Oh, yeah.
I'd go on road trips with them on occasion. With Matt Perry. Matthew Perry was a very good skater. Lachlan Monroe,
Wow.
he was probably the best one on the ice. I think Lachlan had a promising career. And when we play guys like Joe Watson, we would play again, they'd come on with us. And one time we got to play with Stan Mikita. And
oh, wow.
And I remember the issue Stan had is just like, these guys are shit, man. You gotta give us better players. And at that point, Lachlan was probably the best player who could hold the light to those guys, But me, I would just dump and chase. I would dump and let them chase is what I would do.
You were smart. There'd be guys from Detroit and Michigan, I'm sure, who were actors who would be standing out. There was an actor from Full House. Oh my goodness, that's terrible. I can't think of his name, but I know he was involved with Thick and a lot.
Oh, he was there. I see him all the time. I know.
Yeah,
it's embarrassing that
I once they had. Pardon me.
You cut that part because if
I'll come up with his name. Where's Winston? Winston. Name the Coulier, David Coulier.
Dave Coulier. Dave.
There he is. I got invited. Kind of when I was at TV Guide, they had a celebrity hockey game that Thick was involved with at Maple Leaf Gardens, and they had some NHLers like Brad Park, I think, and then it was David Coulier.
That was probably the time Mike Fox hurt Bobby Orr.
Oh my God! I didn't see Orr. Orr wasn't at this. This is about 35 years ago, but.
There's a story. I wasn't there when it happened, but there was a story that Mike Fox tripped Bobby Orr and he went down and he had to get off the ice.
Yeah, you don't want to be doing that.
No.
But I got invited. There was a thing where Wayne Gretzky and Brett Hull were part of this. So they had a handful of NHLers, and the press was invited to play shinny with them for 20 minutes.
Oh.
So I raced home, got my equipment. The sports guy at TV Guide didn't play hockey, so I said, give me that. And I just got to the rink, got on the ice, and I was on a line with Brett Hull. And so I remember he's going for the net, and he passes to me, and I shoot it into the stands. Like it was, and he skates over to me, and he goes, "You're no Adam Oates."
You're the what?
You're no Adam Oates. And he was right. But I remember
he used Adam Oates in your name in the same sentence.
I was pretty
walk away with my head high.
I was pretty excited. He actually set me up and I scored. I thought Brett Hull just assisted on a goal I scored. But I went to check Gretzky's on the ice, and I remember skating. He's on the other team, and these guys were just in their sweats. And it's like a force field is around him. Like I remember thinking, I can't get too close to Wayne Gretzky because I might do something terrible. And I remember just sort of poking.
Baumgartner might come in and
right. So, but I just remember what a thrill that was. So I've got a picture of me in between Brett Hull and Wayne Gretzky. It's like the donut.
You gotta show me that.
It's like the donut line. There's no center. There's a hole in the middle. Anyway, it was us and our hockey stories.
We could do a whole podcast and exchange hockey stories.
I think we could. Okay, I'm going to ask the last. We didn't have a Norman Jewison story. Leave us with a George Segal story. I know you have countless to draw from. He was obviously on Just Shoot Me and a tremendous actor and could do anything. And you must have a story maybe that involves a banjo. I don't know.
Well, there were plenty of banjo stories until we told him not to bring the banjo to work anymore. I think that hurt his feelings. Told him not to bring it anymore. It drew too much attention. But I'll never forget the first time we were, it might have been a rehearsal, one of the first episodes. And they were doing a scene, and I just, I needed to watch the man. I needed to just absorb what he was doing. And so I would just behind the wall, because, the sets on those films, you could just stand stand behind the wall and just watch him. And he's in this scene, right? And he doesn't break a stride. And he makes eye contact with me. He goes, "What do you want?"
Really?
Get out of my eye line. It's like he
was busting your balls.
he just wouldn't have it. And then later on, you get to know him. He would tell stories about when he did a later movie with Mark Rydell, and they did that movie he did with Barbra Streisand, and how he would say,
"Oh yeah, what's up, Doc?" Or
no, later. It was a movie that they had done in the 90s together that Mark Rydell had directed it. Anyway, The Rose or something. I don't know, something, The Pale Rose or something. Winston?
Exactly. I was thinking the same thing.
So he would say how hypersensitive she was when there was a stranger on the set and no one told her or introduced her, and she would just start singing "Stranger on the Set."
Really? That's
so
funny.
George had that same antenna whenever there was somebody that he just didn't recognize, and he didn't know me. I'm sure he didn't even realize that I was acting with him, or I was in the show with him. But those early days, he was just wanted to be left alone. I love him. I miss him. And we still hang out, the rest of us, and we share a beer in his honor every time.
Oh, that's nice. Wendy Malick and
Andy and Laura, and Spade shows up once in a while. Usually it's on FaceTime, but
do you ever listen to Spade's podcast?
Yeah.
Pretty funny.
It's a lot of fun. In
Yeah.
fact, I got some airtime when they interviewed Tom Hanks.
Oh, perfect.
Tom was saying, "Hey, I just worked with your buddy. He was just, the buddy
For the neighborhood."
Yeah, no, he goes, and Dave's going, "No, who?" It's just like, the guy that was on Just Shoot Me with you. He goes, "Rico? Rico, yeah, of course. How could I forget that name? Sweetest guy in the world. Oh yeah, Rico." So I got a half plug from Tom Hanks.
That's all right.
I know, it was good.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Rico, it's so great to see you. And
you're always wonderful, Bill. Thank you.
Hopefully next time in person. And congratulations on Allegiance. It's
I hope people watch. I mean, it's really, like I said, I hope what we felt on set translates.
Well, it does in the pilot.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it builds, and it gets quite gripping at the end of the episode I watched. But a fine cast and a great story and a beautiful show. It looks
Canada
nice.
Proud. It'll make Canada proud. It's got quite an ensemble of Canadian talent, and that makes me really, really, really happy and really proud.
That's great. Wednesday, February 7th on CBC Gem. And I'm sure coming to a U.S. network near you.
I think 9 p.m. or 8 p.m. Do you know?
I think it's 9 p.m. It's pretty good. It's the right hour for it.
Yeah.
And
thank you, Lexi.
All right. So all the best, and stay off the ice.
just stay off the ice on the street, you mean?
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Take care, Rico.
Always
Bye-bye.
a pleasure. Okay.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye. My thanks as always to Phil Hong for his allegiance in producing this podcast. Thanks as well to the folks at CBC Publicity for setting up the interview with Enrico. Give it up to BJ Del Conte, Paul Boudra, and all the crispy critters, as well as piano man Stephen Dudley, who many years ago recorded the music you hear on this podcast. Finally, thanks to you, listener. If you enjoyed this conversation, let us know with a like or a comment at Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm Bill Brio. Thanks for listening.